Merry meet, Annie here, and welcome to Monday on Pagan Perspective. And no, the topic is not about drumming this week. And no, I can't really drum very well. I enjoy myself, I enjoy my drum, but I don't have a real sense of rhythm. But Ome is going to be part of my video today. And the reason is the questions that we have, and I apologize because I forgot to bring back the name of the people who have asked these questions, so I'll put them below. The questions were very interesting ones, and the first question was, what do we think about animal remains? What do we think about using them, finding them, the energy in them? And that is a very interesting question, and I'm sure a lot of us have thought about it when we've come across others using animal remains in rite or in art or for decoration. However we see animals surrounding us and what's left behind when they move on. So I wanted to start out with Ome and I made Ome. So I might not be too good at drumming on her, but we are partnered, very close. Ome is made out of elk skin, and the back of her is drawn with sinew, also from elk. The place that I went, where we went on a retreat and made these drums, we first developed a relationship with the skin before we stretched it on the drum. We actually considered it to be a birthing, getting to know the energy of the animal we were working with. It was a very interesting experience for me. I certainly had drummed on other people's drums that were made from animal hides. I even had another drum, a manufactured drum that I bought that had an animal hide top on it. All of a sudden it was different when you were actually handling the skin of the animal. But it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I personally don't have a problem with ritual items that are made from animals. I find the energy to be, in most cases, extremely powerful energy. Now, except for Ome and the antlers that I use on my altar in the light half of the year, I can't say that I myself have a lot of animal remains that I use in my ritual. But I have certainly handled some beautiful, beautiful pieces when I have been visiting other people's homes and participating in rituals with other people. To me, it's about the respect. It's about how you view it, how you welcome the energy. Thinking of it as simply a utensil and not honoring the beauty of the spirit of the animal that you are using, what's left of them. To me, well, something sacrilegious. To me, that is sacrilegious. Honoring the spirit of the animal, thinking about what it was, partnering with it in the work that you do, appreciating the beauty of what it's left behind. I'm perfectly at ease with that. I read a book, I guess it's been almost 20 years ago now, The Woman Who Run with Wolves, and some of us will have read it. And there was a story in there about the bone collector. And the story was Mexican in heritage, although many Native Americans have a similar story about an old woman who either walks the desert or walks the mountains. And she scavenges the bones of the dead animals. She picks up bits and pieces as she goes along, and when she's done, she assembles the bones and she sings over the bones, and she brings the spirit of the animal back to life. Now, there is a lot of important messages there. If we stop to think about our life being nothing more than a collection of bones over which we will sing and bring to life. But there's also the beauty of honoring the spirit of what has gone before. In this case, animals who have gone before. So I personally have no problem respectfully handling, partnering with, and using what's been left behind after an animal has died. Another person, and I'll mention that name below also, asked us, I guess the subject still being animals, what we thought of animals having past lives. Did they have former lives? Were they going to be reincarnated like human life? You know, I'd actually never given that thought before. I never had. And the reason is that animal life just seems so perfect to me the way it is. Unlike the human life, which has to be perfected and we have to eventually get it right, or at least get it better. I never thought about animals having to return to expand their wisdom. So the question is one I really don't have a personal answer for. I do believe animals have souls. And that came actually very recently. I didn't even have an opinion about that until rather recently. To me, they were just perfect being animal and being pure to themselves, to their animal selves, and I never tried to lay over the kind of things that we humans lay over ourselves, like souls and past and future lives. But 2 years ago, when my familiar died in my arms, and it took a bit for him to die, so I shared in the entire process of his death as he lay in my arms, from when he stopped breathing through to the time that his heart stopped. And after his heart stopped, in the stillness of what was in that moment when he would be considered dead, I felt his soul rise from him as a tangible thing, as tangible as the souls of the dead of humans I have loved and been at their side when they died. It felt the same way. So what that did is open up to me a whole new way to look at those beautiful animals in our lives and in the wild, and what their spiritual self is. I always thought that they had it over us because of their simplicity and their beauty to begin with. They didn't have to have any of those things that we humans need to attribute to ourselves. And then that experience of actually feeling and seeing the spirit of my familiar lift from his body and linger for just a moment before he left. And I have had animals that have returned to me at Samhain. They stand at the edge of the circle. Mine don't seem to want to come in or be too intimately involved, but they are so present and so there and so who they are. So I'm still myself a work in progress when it comes to thinking about what the before lives and the after lives of our animal friends and animals in the wild are. But I'm rethinking that very much because of my experience 2 years ago with Emmett's soul and his presence as a separate and sentient entity that was separate from the body that he had just given up. Here's my thoughts on those two things. For the first, the use of animal bits, whether skin or fur or bones, in ritual ways or in art or even for decoration. To me, the spirit of the animal then is still very present and tangible. And when treated with respect, these are powerful, powerful spiritual items. As far as past, present lives of our animal friends and animals in the wild, I don't know about that. But I am rethinking what I used to think, which is that they were whole and complete and perfect within this physical, biological existence this one time around. So that's a new notion to me to reconsider what that might be. Very interesting questions, and ones I know that pagan brothers and sisters of mine all have very different opinions about. Thank you, both of you who asked these questions. Very interesting for us. I wish you all mirth and reverence.